Hello, everyone. This is take one of our practicing, basically, our shtick, our pitch, our summary, our post on social media. Who are we? What are we up to? And I would put the title, the headline is Saving, Healing, and Transforming Life on Earth, starting with feeding everyone. And then the first paragraph, the introductory paragraph would read, welcome. Welcome to Operation Stone Soup and the 24-hour collective intelligence block party, right? We are building a planetary collective intelligence to take on and succeed 100% at the gargantuan task of ensuring that everyone has plenty of nutritious food to eat ongoingly far into the future, right? So we're building a planetary collective intelligence to take on this monumental task and apply that collective intelligence to every part of the task, from agriculture, from farming to urban gardens, to indoor permaculture, to, commercial kitchens, mass producing nutritious food, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? All the aspects and facets of it. And in the process of evolving and growing to the point that is needed to feed everyone, the collective superintelligence will also be now ready or getting ready to solve the rest of the problems, which are a lot less obvious than ending hunger. Like, for example, cooling the planet with SRM, planetary scale SRM. And having said all that, then we circle back to starting with ending hunger. And in terms of, it's not ending hunger, but feeding everyone. And then we just talk about that for another paragraph where we talk about its whole food, plant-based immune boosting. And we also talk about the efficiencies of doing all of this at scale, right? Where, large commercial kitchens are cranking out huge volumes of nutritious food and delivering it. And, that's it in a nutshell. So anyway, questions, comments, and also let's just build on it. Additions, anything you'd like to say.
I was thinking of addressing all of our goals in the beginning to draw attention to those people that feel like, I feel like we have to throw out the interests and almost like tag people. Like, if you're interested in ending carnivorism, they're going to want to read on. They're interested in cooling the planet, they're going to want to read on to the rest of the message. I just, like, to draw them into what they're passionate, interested in, and then bring them into the conversation.
No, I like that, because then we can have links right below those the introductory paragraph or two that say to join the conversation on blank topic, click here. To join the conversation on this other topic, click here. And for each of those topics, also have links to YouTube videos of our previous meetings on those topics. And from that standpoint, I like some of the examples you gave, Jackie, because I think that's where we have an opportunity to really pull them right in. And I think if we can chunk out maybe the second 2-hour segment, the one that we're almost at the tail end of, but we can go overtime, no problem. Excuse me. I think rather than kind of try to break it down into these relatively kind of like dry, cut and dried topic areas, what were a couple that you mentioned, Jackie? Like if you're interested in
ending carnivorism, cooling the planet, refreezing the Arctic, co-creating a compassionate world, restoring equity, healing ourselves as a species, healing the ecosystem, restoring health to Mother Earth, going super intelligent. I think all of those are opportunities to grab someone's attention that we feel so divided. And I think that's a way to invite them and influence them to come into the conversation.
I have a suggestion as well, like restoring natural habitats. I think that could be a good one. Permaculture, what Sylvie and Jorge are doing, you know, the edible forest, that could be another one. Restoring indigenous voices or something like that, something focused on First Nations. Yeah.
What was the one, Jorge and Sylvie, that's the edible forests?
Yeah.
edible living forests. Edible living
Yeah.
forests.
Thank you, Damon. Yep.
Yeah, I like these those a lot of these titles, a lot of these topics, because they really grab you, like ending carnivorism, cooling the planet through SRM, and then in parentheses solar radiation management, and then and so on, and then each of those could have its own web page where we have both the upcoming scheduled meetings on that particular topic as well as links to the YouTube videos of previous coverage of that topic. And then I see two big advantages coming out of that. One is, multiple advantages. One, people will have visibility into all this. They'll be able to check it all out and say, whoa, this is cool. Wow. And, but that for each of those topics. So whatever topic they're interested in will have its home, its web page. And I think if we get onto a schedule and have it basically the same schedule every week, then it makes it really easy to record each chunk, even if it's a half-hour chunk or whatever. Record each chunk. That makes it really easy to post it with the right title and the right category and everything, and so on and so on and so on.
How would that look? How can we play around with that? Like if we wanted to implement that starting like Tuesday or like for next week, and we can start promoting that. Let's formulate, see what it looks like.
Yeah.
I'd like to have a section called Planting the City. So we're talking about.
You said planting the city.
Yeah. So
Good.
we're talking about green walls, roof gardening, every available space. If it becomes pedestrianized, as you know, it becomes part farm. So the food is always local. It's always there. I mean, there's a lot of work. You've only got to go on YouTube. There's a lot of this is being done, but it's being done very slowly. So it's like it's part of the feed everyone thing, but it's green the cities. But greening the cities is also cooling the city. Just because instead of it becoming a kind of concrete desert, you know, with the buildings generating heat, the buildings being cooled by the plants and by the vegetation all around.
I guess we could call it regreening the planet.
So let me make sure I heard. We talked about regreening the planet, planting the city. And so I want to make sure that I got all of your suggestions. We talked about roof gardening, vertical gardens, and was there another suggestion that we could put kind of like in the description?
City farming. So as we move over to pedestrianisation and bicycles, more and more spaces within cities become available for greening and for growing, and you know, like planting fruit trees everywhere so that people can just eat as they go along when that fruit is in season. I mean, to some extent, that YouTube bit I told you about, where they were collecting all the food in California. At one time, somebody had that idea that those trees, these were mature trees that they were selecting fruit from. And at some time, somebody decided, hey, why don't we put fruit trees in the parks? Why don't we grow fruit trees along the sidewalks? Somebody had that idea, which is a very basic idea, really, and followed through on it. It's just that we need to, all these things have pretty much already been done. The way to do it is already there. The knowledge is already there. It's just a case of, well, I'd say just a case of, but with the will behind it to actually implement it and to do it everywhere.
Does it make sense to call that segment the future of food?
I like that because the future of food can encompass the first two I just put in the chat: ending carnivorism and feeding everyone, right? Future of food. Let's see. But
how about,
yeah.
No, I just said, how about reinventing the future of food? And by that I mean we need to reinvent new perma-farming culture technologies in order to do farming on a mass scale in a different way. Like other technologies will have to be invented to do that, green technologies, you know what I mean? So just reinventing future food systems.
I just put into the chat designing the future of food, because I mean that's fundamentally what we're doing, is we're redesigning.
It's just that in a way it's all these designs are already in existence. People have experimented, they've done, you know, food forests and all these things are already there. All the plans are already there. It's about implementing it. So yeah, that sounds fine. But when you say planting the city, I mean, okay, it's not all encompassing because that's saying the city, it's not saying everywhere. But a planting is a doing thing. You're doing it. It's an active thing. You know, you could say designing is too, but designing is kind of on paper and in the mind, and in a way, all that's been done. There's such amazing food geniuses out there and farming geniuses. They've had to find a little patch where they can do these things because we've got another agricultural system at the moment that's not really letting us in with all that knowledge. But that's why I like the word planting, you know, because it's active.
I love what Jackie just put in there, sowing the future of food. It's like sowing seeds, but sowing the future.
I just found this in my studio, biodynamics and celestial agriculture. And they are in Oregon. It's called the TILF. And also the other really big one is water. Water. Healing the water. This says through the water through the organic lens.
Can you type that information into the chat, Melissa, please? Because I really want to look into that first resource you just showed us.
Yeah, because we already know what awful things are going on with water in Flint, Michigan, and all over the world with the avocado growing, water's being, in California even, water's being redirected from communities to farms on the basis of they want to make a lot of profit, and carts are turning up in communities once a fortnight to give them the water that they had, you know, a few years back they already had. Water is, yeah, it's like such a massive issue, and there is no agriculture without water.
And actually, water is becoming an endangered resource.
And especially because of the animal farming, the factory farming of animals, the polluted rivers near these animal plants, as they call them. What do they call them? They've got a euphemism for them, haven't they? Food plants or something they call them.
Factory farms.
Yeah, they've got a euphemism they've been using to, instead of calling them factory farms, they've been calling them something else, something plants, to cover up the horrors of what go on inside. But the horrors are going on in the environment as well. But, you know, they're
meat processing plants.
Something strange. I can't think of it at the moment. But and you know, in those areas, the waterways are becoming polluted, the land's becoming polluted, everything.
Well, the number one thing for securing our future of water is cooling the planet, because it's the planetary overheating that's creating all the droughts and evaporating all the water and melting all the ice, and you know, drying out the soil. When even after a good rain, excess heat will dry out that soil and the plants won't be able to benefit from it. So it all really, the big solution is SRM. And so but in order to get there, right, we've got to tackle food and water first, right? However we have to do it, we tackle food and water first. Get that done ASAP, so that we can then have, you know, a working civilization that's fed and watered, right? And therefore it's okay, right? And then with a working civilization and with a well-fed civilization, we will also have developed the collective superintelligence in the process. So well-nourished, well-fed, healthy, with collective superintelligence, now we're ready to take on anything. At that point, it's a whole new ballgame. Life is a whole new ballgame because we have collective superintelligence with which we can go after any and every problem that we want and all of our problems and opportunities holistically and simultaneously. Bam, 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 bam. Because we will finally have, you know, essentially the superpower of collective superintelligence. It's as simple as that. That's the big picture right there. We start with feeding and watering everyone. Go superintelligent as quickly as possible in the process. By the time we've fed everyone, we're superintelligent. It's that simple. And as soon as we get superintelligent, it will not be a moment too soon, because we need to apply that to designing and deploying planetary scale SRM as quickly as possible. Cool the planet, keep it cool. And then then at that point, having headed off those two disasters, world hunger and planetary overheating, having solved both of those, we now have a platform for moving forward with collective superintelligence. So the initial three pillars are very simple. Feed everyone, cool the planet, go superintelligent. Feed everyone, cool the planet, go superintelligent. It's basically stomach, armpits, and brain, just to put it in real simple terms. Feed everyone, cool the planet, sweaty armpits, and brain. Just to make it, you know, visually delicious, shall we say. That's it. The three go together. We start with food. We go superintelligent, we cool the planet.
Nice graphics.
Yeah.
Thanks for the visual graphics.
You're welcome. Yeah, I know you especially appreciated the armpit part. Anyway, that's it. Bam, bam, bam. Those are the first three, the big three. And it's those three pillars become the foundation of saving, healing, and transforming life ongoingly, because we now have a foundation for life. And then we can really get to work saving, healing, and transforming every last, you know, part of our planet, our world, ourselves that we need to. Bam. Full stop. Anyway, going on mute. Love to hear from everyone. Have we gone quiet all of a sudden? Okay, Jackie needed to attend to something. Got it. Wow, I mean, it's just becoming so clear, and it became clear through conversation. And what we needed to do, what we needed to focus on became clear through conversation. Going on mute. I'm chatting with the crows here. They're getting closer and closer, you know, and for me, the crows have long been an inspiration of collective intelligence, right? They're just like this hive mind that fans out, and then they've got all this rich perspective on geometrically and geographically on everything that's going on. Food sources, potential predators, good place for nests. They've just got it all you know, visualized and communicated. They communicate it all through very efficiently. So I've been inviting them into these conversations, right? However they want to participate, telepathically or whatever. But my goodness, it's like, you know how humanity, you know, 140 years ago or whatever, embraced automobiles and then just continued, and it was just exponential until everyone's got, you know, 2 or 3 automobiles a piece in their driveway, half of which are broken down or whatever. But we've just thoroughly embraced automobiles, right? And it was just like this total transition. And it was commented the other day at a meeting, I forget which, that, you know, what an amazing experience it must be for a human, you know, for a human being to be in an automobile and flying down the highway at 70 miles an hour if you live in Arizona, right? Well, likewise, you see how just everyone's just embracing video conferencing, and we're just like treating it just like an everyday thing now, right? See how our embracing of video conferencing is kind of paralleled the earlier embracing of automobiles? It's really a superpower, right? You know, to fly down the highway reliably at 70 miles an hour and be able to stop anywhere you know, at whatever city you want and get a hotel and get food. And I mean, so it's like we're embracing this new superpower without a whole bunch of thought about it, except of course for us who are thinking about collective superintelligence. And so go for it. So, and thank you for that image of the crows. Go ahead.
I feel the same, but I feel more of that about the bike. You know, when you first ride a bike when you're a kid, that is such an amazing feeling. You know,
oh, you are so right. Yeah.
And the bike, you know, the bike, you don't have to pass the test. Well, we used to have something called a cycling proficiency test. You could take it if you wanted to. You didn't have to take it. The car is a lot more cumbersome. They're much more expensive. You have to go through this test. There are all kinds of hoops and loops you have to go through, but the bike much less so. And so I think, and everybody's kind of got that experience of when they first rode the bike.
Yeah, you know, all the way into my mid-20s, I was just bicycling. I totally resisted, you know, driving. You know, and then it finally caught up with me when I had to commute to work and whatnot. Ugh. But no, you're absolutely right. So, and you know, but the larger point is we are acquiring this new superpower, right? And we're learning how to apply it collectively with exponentially growing power. So the transformation to collective superintelligence is just awesome. It's beyond any words I can think of, because I mean, to be able to exponentiate our intelligence, right? I mean, frankly, life has been plenty interesting with the intelligence I have as an individual and that we have as a collective. But for that it's been plenty interesting, just normal baseline, you know, collective intelligence. Just take mid 2019 as a baseline, okay? But now that it's exponentiating, right, we're rapidly creeping, slipping, sliding into this not just fast lane, but exponentially growing speed lane. Okay, Melissa, sweetheart, we'll see you soon. Love you. So the twin transformations of feeding everyone and going super intelligent, each of them would be sufficiently profound on its own. And for example, you can imagine feeding everyone in 1975 with just conventional intelligence and conventional networks, right? But the fact that and that would, you know, so a 1975 feeding everyone, that would be transformational enough just in and of itself, right? But then overlay on top of that exponentially growing collective superintelligence, we're talking about a double whammy of insanely benevolent transformations, right? But both happening simultaneously and at the same time. All right, now I know no one's listening. Okay, I'm just kidding. Someone's got to be listening. Go on mute.
I got it.
Thanks, James. Thank you. Thank you, so. I mean, really, just contemplate that for a minute. Either transformation on its own would be totally mind-blowing. See, the food is heart-blowing. It's stomach-blowing and heart-blowing, and the CSI is mind-blowing. We're basically getting our whole body blown simultaneously and at the same time. Going on mute.
I was thinking about Silesh approaching all these churches and different denominations, and you know, lockdown is a great, well, we all know it already, but it's such a massive opportunity because the old infrastructure is closed down. You know, it's time to sweep in. You know that those kitchens are already there in those churches, but they're not being used, and you know, you can just roll in and take over the infrastructure with the new system.
Exactly. It's almost like we're landing on some planet where there used to be a civilization. It's now totally deserted, and it's available for us to use however we see fit, right? And because we're coming at, yeah, go ahead.
We could literally go out in the roads in our cities and smash up the tarmac and start digging, see what earth is underneath, and just literally start planting the palms. You know, like people are walking, you know, they're not, a lot of streets there are no cars on them. Actually, the cars are coming back, but you know what I mean, you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, absolutely. And well, and there have been these plans to take, asphalt streets, select ones, of course, and just, leave the asphalt in place, almost like a natural drainage system, right? Because most of those streets have a slight crown to them, and just put some topsoil on top, and just start farming right there in the neighborhood, right in the middle of the street, right? Just like that great English song from the 80s, Our House in the Middle of Our Street. Our house in the middle of our street. Our farm, boom, boom, in the middle of our street. Our farm, boom, boom, in the middle of our... So is harvesting some eggplants. Oh, she likes to pick them ripe and cook them up right quick. You get the point. So much to do. So much incredible stuff to do. This is a renaissance. This is a renaissance in feeding everyone, going compassionate, going super intelligent, ending violence, ending stupidity, replacing it with collective intelligence, replacing violence with love. I mean, it's everything that the 60s strived for, but couldn't accomplish because they didn't have Zoom. I mean, that's history 101 in a nutshell as to why we're able to do it now when we couldn't in the 60s. Going on mute. By the way, I've got my earbuds in so I can hear and respond. Actually, I'm not going to mute, and I'm going to head back and cook something up. So you'll see me there in the background, and I'll just be talking away while I whip up some food because I'm quite hungry. All right. Excuse me. No, but I'm here in the conversation. So just jump in. Or do we need to take a break? So says yes to a break. Of course, it is after midnight there in London. And James,
I'm okay either way.
Okay. Well, I need to cook up some food, so we could just keep it rolling. I mean, look, we as long as there's someone willing to talk, I'm game to talk while I whip up some food. So. What? Well, I'll just keep yapping away then, because I'm good at that, I think. I mean, really, just contemplate it for a minute. See, we need to be. I think it's very wise for us to take stock of where we're headed with this double transformation. It's like a double helix of saving, healing, and transforming life on Earth. It's a double helix. The food part and the intelligence part, the collective intelligence part. I mean, when I used to talk about it, it sounded crazy before. But the more I talk about it nowadays, it's increasingly feeling not only not crazy, but inevitable. Right? I mean, do y'all feel the acceleration? I mean, it's just, of course it's accelerating because everything's getting shaken up and everything is, as Silas said, everything's falling apart, everything's crumbling away, being destroyed of the old world.
Well, I agree, and there's definitely a sense of that around the world anyway, everywhere. As I was saying earlier and we there today, I do keep a kind of close eye on a lot of different geopolitical situations, not just political, but you know, all news channels all over the world. Like so, but there is a greater sense of some form of awareness, a different awareness with humanity. Well, I mean, it's the frustration with the way things are going all the time anyway. Like as you said, this is going down the tubes, like, and it's not as if we're all blind. So there's definitely, you know, it's the time for change, and we have a lot of things that we have on our minds that we want to try and tackle, like, and to be honest with you, like, I mean, when you put them on the list like that, it sounds completely, you know, utterly overwhelming and almost to the point of impossible, but we know it's not impossible. We're here because of the fact that we know it's not impossible. So we just have to keep plowing on, as you said. I mean, if we don't continue having these conversations, regardless, as you said earlier, whether there's 4 in the room, 2 in the room. I mean, even Jesus himself said, wherever more than one gather in my name, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I am there. So
yeah,
it doesn't matter. As long as we're having the right conversation, it will gather. And it is gathering momentum, and I do feel it anyway as well. Everyone here does. So we will get moments of frustration and impatience and all sorts of, we're human at the end of the day, like, you know what I mean? We're seeking collective intelligence and collective super intelligence, but we're not by any means like robots in any sense. It's all about the collective. It's all about everyone's input, and that regardless of how big or minute that is, like. So we just have to plow the road and keep going. Plow the road and plant trees behind us.
yeah,
Apple, fruit trees.
exactly. Oh, wow. Goodness, what a journey. I mean, I kind of feel like an astronaut getting on a rocket ship at the launch pad for the very first time, for my very first space flight. That's how this feels. You know, this thing is
that was postponed until tomorrow as well. I just forgot. You just reminded me of something there now as well. The SpaceX flight with the astronauts tomorrow. It was postponed until tomorrow to take off because there was bad weather the Thursday night. So it's the one where the first American astronauts will be going back into space for the first time from American soil. Like, so it's kind of poignant in that sense since the last time since the last time they launched from here, from America.
Wow. Interesting.
Sorry, I know that has nothing to do with the subject, like, but you just mentioned it. Like, but...
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Do you want to take a break altogether? Yeah, man. Do you want to carry on with that break altogether and kind of focus on getting yourself something to eat there, like?
Well, I'm already here. I'm already here, set up in the kitchen, so I'm totally fine just cooking and talking at the same time. It's a piece of cake, really. It's just there's nothing to it. So,
all right, man.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, unless you need a break. If you need a break, take a break.
No, I'm good. I'm okay.
Yeah, no, I'm okay too, and that's part of the magic of the block party is we stick with it, you know, and we just forge ahead. And I'm just so grateful that we have finally hit this, like, this on-ramp to this exponential speed lane through food.
Well, I suppose, like I said there, no, when they read out the list there that we were making or comprising there, well, but it sounds vastly overwhelming and almost to the point of impossible, as I said. But I mean, for anyone on the outside of this conversation, these conversations, that would be like, they would be looking like and saying, who do these people think they are, that kind of a thing, like, but, or how are they going to achieve that or whatever else. But again, getting back to the picture of people not being included, but that's fast with the food situation. That's fast becoming a priority now for everyone. Like, so, I think they're all going to clue into that conversation, regardless. Like,
Yeah, the timing is perfect, because what's been happening is people have been addressing this on a very local level. People in New York City get together on a Zoom video conference and talk about feeding everyone in New York. But that's it. All this beckons to be taken to the several levels further up by bringing it all together as a planetary conversation, a network of conversations spanning all the specific areas within food and food production and food preparation, distribution, logistics, yada, 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 but as an integrated whole, as an integrated network. That is new in the human experience. New in the human experience. The world's never come together before to solve its food problems. And now in the middle of this crisis, it's essentially being not forced to do so, but called to do so. And it's something, of course, we've been wanting to do for quite some time. And everything's aligning for it. So that's, that's one strand of the double helix, food. The other is collective superintelligence. Those are the twin strands of the double helix. Co-evolving. That's so clear now. That wasn't clear to me before today in the way that it is now. It's now just crystal clear. Food and CSI. Food and CSI. Those two co-evolve, and then SRM really just becomes the first beneficiary of CSI, beyond food, of course, right? CSI co-evolved with food. SRM becomes the first kind of just pure beneficiary, right, of a mature CSI. And it's perfect because feeding everyone is, by its very nature, just a very organically growing kind of opportunity, right? Whereas SRM is kind of an all or nothing planetary scale thing. Either we do it or we don't. And if we do it, we got to do it with millions of square kilometers of the stuff.
And either way, even if we were doing it, we still have to feed everyone.
Exactly. Exactly. And we need to feed everyone to keep civilization together. Otherwise, it's just Mad Max. We cannot afford to go Mad Max. Not now. In the future, once we've cooled the planet, we actually can afford to go Mad Max. I'm not suggesting we ever go Mad Max. Heaven forbid. But I'm just saying we definitely cannot afford it now. We might afford it in the future once we've cooled the place down. But right now, we cannot afford Mad Max.
In essence, we can't afford anything at the moment other than to stop what we're all doing and get on board with a conversation to try and sort it all out. As you said, like, we need to just stop what we're doing and concentrate on the one conversation.
Exactly, and that's all there is to do right now. There's nothing else to do right now. That's the only game in town, because if we don't get that game right, we all die. Want some beans and rice, James?
I just had pasta and tomato sauce. I'm good.
Good. Yeah, we got some leftover pasta in the fridge. I might join you for some of that later. All right, let me get some Mexican hot sauce. This is actually made in Guadalajara, Mexico. Of course, you probably have that in Ireland as well. Hot sauce made in Mexico.
Definitely. Myself and Stephanie, we love all the spicy food.
Yeah. They sure get it right in Mexico. You know, I've spent about 5 years of my life in Mexico. I don't know if I shared that with you.
Yeah.
5 years. Long time. Yeah, goodness. So, you know, what's interesting, though, is until it really starts to cross the chasm, so to speak, towards the mainstream, until we're more mainstream, if you say that you're simultaneously feeding everyone and going super intelligent, I mean, it sounds like you're somebody who reads too much science fiction and also happened to drop acid that morning, right? You just sound crazy, right? But as we progress, it's simply becoming more and more believable, partly because it's the only way forward, right? And so I just kind of see it like in, I don't know if the right word would be trenches, but there will be trenches of humanity. Like there's the 0.001%, that's us, right? Then the 0.01%, then the 0.1%, then the 1%, then the 10%, right? And finally the 100%. Okay, Jackie sent me a text. Let me text her back. I'll be right back. Going on mute. All right, I just got to get some information for Jackie. I'm going to pause recording.